And, you know, we go up to give her medical information. So this is where it begins. They ask her age.
Yeah. Okay. And the answer?
And the answer was,
13.
I mean, I had already seen red flags, but I thought this was just something where, you know, it wasn't this serious. I thought that, you know, there was some parenting issues, but I didn't think that it had escalated into the industry.
Like, I was a kid. Like, I was literally a kid.
Yeah.
There's like, from a certain age to a certain age, your brain, like, mentally is developing, and she got me right at the start of that.
Michael Weist is a social media entrepreneur, a producer with vast experience in the recording and documentary world. He represents influencers who have a combined total of more than 400 million followers. He also worked with Danielle Cohn for some period of time.
What's up, guys? It's Danielle here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video this week.
So many issues here: child porn, the exploitation of children for financial gain, attracting predators to watch, and creating drama and harm to a child.
Danny, show them your body so they can be quiet.
I hadn't done so much research about Danielle. I didn't know that there was so many people had opinions about this young woman, because the one thing that I will say is that Danielle is a sweet girl.
Well, I'm going to leave Nashville. And I'm like, is that what you want? We just had a whole different conversation. She's like, no, I want to support my mom. I think that she needs, I should be able to provide for my family. And I'm like, your mom just literally convinced you that you're supporting your family and that that's the right thing to do. And your heart's so big that you think that that's the right thing to do, but it's in reality, your mom is manipulating you. That is what breaks my heart.
You know, they don't really have a lot of proof for me because I just don't care. Like, I know deep down, like, what goes on in my life. And
Yeah, exactly.
the only really thing that matters is that I know and the people close to me know, so
Yeah.
I really don't care what the internet thinks.
So I guess in this time, I mean, did you feel like you could escape? What made you go back home? Was it until Danny said, we're not together anymore? What was the moment that you said, I'm done with this?
It was really my friend Juju. Like, when Juju was out in Florida, Juju's a lot like me and likes, you know, nice things. And he had come to me, and he had come to me and told me he needed to talk to me, and he pulled me into the room that he was staying in, next to where you guys were staying in. And he's like, bro, like, if I'm being so honest with you, bro, this is not it. I'm over here like, what do you mean? Like, my mom has said this to me, my brother, my dad, like, you know, my grandparents. And he's like, bro, you're, like, not you anymore. Like, this is not the Mikey that I met a year ago. I'm like, what? Like, what is that even supposed to mean? He's like, bro, they're like mentally fucking you. Like, he's like, I don't even think you realize it. And, like, he's being funny and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, he's like not trying to scare me, but, like, basically just told me, like, bro, like, you need to get the fuck out of this. And because Juju is so much like me and likes all the nice things and whatever, I was like, damn, like, that, like, literally, like, woke me up and was like, and then I had called my mom, and she was like, like, basically orchestrated a plan for me to go back to LA. And
Yeah, you seemed very out of it. Like, when I was there, which was the end of y'all's kind of stage together, you were doing your best to not be in that house, it seemed to me. And that's why I looked at you and it seemed like, are you trapped? Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, I would wake up, I would go out on the jet ski all day. I would wake up, go on the boat all day, you know.
We were getting a lot of phone calls, which was really odd. I remember the first time that he reached out, his dad and I were laying in bed, and his dad was so excited to talk to him. And they both couldn't get off the phone with one another. And Danielle had said something that Mikey wasn't the same person without his family around.
Yeah, it's crazy because when I was there living with her, she actually went to her mom and said, I want Mikey to move back in with his parents. And I was all for it. Danny was all for it. And Matt was all for it. And Chad was all for it. But the one person that wasn't was Jen.
Why do you think that is?
Jen's petrified of me.
Also,
I feel like she's very intimidated by my mom, and
she knows she's doing something wrong.
And also, like, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like me and Danny, like, when we were around, you know, you or Dad, like, there were boundaries and respect. And
Listen, some of the last times that we had Danielle over at our house, so after this whole scenario, at some point, they're back in LA, and Mikey calls, and he, you know, Mikey is a daddy's boy like no other, first of all.
This was after, I know I should have say, this is after, so we had split up on the internet, and
Then they were back.
and then Valentine's Day we got back together.
Is that Valentine's
when
Day
I
last year?
flew, No, when I flew to, where was Creators Live?
I don't know.
Indiana?
It was
Somewhere like that.
Yeah, they
random
came-
as fuck. It was snowing. Anyway, we had went to Florida for a few days, and me and Danny weren't like officially back together yet. Like, it was very weird, and I had like went on her phone or something, and she was like texting some kid that she like grew up with named Bryce, and Danny was asleep, and I was on her phone, and I was looking at the text messages, and it said something like, I have feelings for you too, da da da. So I'd actually found Danny like talking to someone else, basically, like when we're literally like supposedly like supposed to be getting back together or whatever, after I like threw a bitch fit in Miami with my friends and flew to Indiana.
Right. Well, but that's not what I was actually going to say. There was a time you guys were back and you were at our house, and Danielle loved to be at our house, which happened, I'm telling you, over the course of their 3-year on and off again, it happened a handful of times. Really, it was very few. And so they were at our house, and my husband was so excited that he was home, and Danielle was there, and it was awkward. The first night we took him to the sugar factory. Jojo had his girlfriend, he had Danny, and we were like, let's do this publicly. Not like where other people could see us, but just like out of the house so nobody feels trapped.
Right.
And so we took him for this beautiful meal. They had a beautiful time, and I overheard Danielle, because they were sitting over here, say, I don't care what my mom says, I'm going to post anyways. We never asked anybody to post. I overheard her say something to her mom like, this was really nice of them, or whatever. She has a good heart.
Yeah, she does. I've heard her say that.
That was our first time. We all drove in one car together. It was our first time together back as a family after they had been gone for a while in Florida. And then they immediately wanted to come back the next day. So we're like, yeah, of course. And Danielle loves it when we cook. And so it's
Jen never cooks.
right. She loves it. And so my husband cooked dinner, and then immediately they wanted to spend the night. And I don't think Jen wanted them to, but Mikey must have said something to her, because then all of a sudden they're allowed to spend the night. So we have like these for when people spend the night or whatever, because they have friends that are over all the time. Like, they're these cool like mat things that roll out, so it's like comfortable. Danny and Mikey actually make a bed like at the bottom of our bed in our room, and we watched Vampire Diaries. Yeah.
I know she loves that.
Yes, she does. But when they were with us, there were like boundaries. Like, we spent time together as a family.
It felt like wholesome. Like, it felt.
Yes, there's no sense of family at Jen's house. I noticed that because, like, I don't know. I grew up. My parents are been married for 30 years. I'm the oldest of 4 brothers. Like we go home for Christmas. We all sleep in the same room together on Christmas
Yes,
Eve. You know,
yes,
like
yes.
to this day. And Jen doesn't even have there's no even with her family there's no sense of family community.
No.
It's like Matt and Chad upstairs, Danny
and
her master bedroom,
doing
and Jen in here making a comment about everything and everyone, and there's no sense like I never saw a shared meal.
And they're like texting each other from room to room.
It's
I'm
like, put your
what
phones
the fuck
away.
is going
I don't know if
on?
it's just I don't know. And to me that became strange. And that is also when I started to realize I like looked at Carlton and was like, I don't know what's going on here. Jen had asked us to go to lunch, or Danny wanted us to go to lunch, and I went off in the car. I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, how old are you? What is going on? Do you know that your mother is stealing your money? Like, are you aware? And she said, it's okay. I want to be able to support my family. And I'm like, no, you're being gaslit. Like,
yeah, there's a difference of supporting your family.
I said, who is Keegan? Why is he spending your money? Who is Matt? Why is he spending your money? I said, if you want me to work with you, this is not okay at all. Then we go to lunch, and that's when I was like, I'm not sitting across from Jen and watching her abuse you.
There has to be like a plan. We sat down, when Mikey was making a lot of money. He was making money before Danielle. It just wasn't coming in like social media money. It's very different. It's very traditional money versus like this new, very quick money.
Yeah.
And it comes in, it's fast, right? They do their video, and man, these guys are on it. They're like, where's payment?
Yep.
They don't mess around.
Yep.
And so then they have the money, and then it's going out. But my concern with all of that in social media, it's like, hold on, wait a minute. Essentially, you could have a kid if you're just living, I don't know, in Alabama, and you're 2 working parents, and you have a high schooler that comes home, they're doing their schoolwork, and they're doing all of a sudden social media, and they're now blowing up, and you have a company that's sending them $10,000 in a PayPal. They're just like, yeah, I'm spending all this money come tax time, because they're not being taught how to handle any of this. You're in trouble.
And I think that speaks to the nature of this industry, I think, which is scary. It's enabling people like Jen to have access. For example, when driving a jet ski down there, Jen asked me to go get gas. Carlos flipped jet ski, and Jen's Cash App card went into there. That was the end of the world. And I was like, it's a Cash App. Why is that the end of the world? That's apparently where all this money is.
That's right.
And
but it's like the click of a button to transfer somewhere else.
Yeah, and why is it in Jen's Cash App? I'm assuming it's because Danny's a minor, but like.
But you realize that you can be 14 years old and have your own. Yeah.
Have a joint checking.
I still have a joint checking account with my mother.
Yes. I mean, my boys had them. And it's like, listen, I get that it wasn't social media money, but even from like the very beginning, even when they would do extra work. So in LA, if you do extra work, you don't have to put the money away into Coogan. So what I would do is when the checks would come in, and I'd write on the check, and we would still put that money into the Coogan account. The plan for Mikey was I sat down the minute. So Mikey, his Bang deal, this was not the first time he was approached for Bang. He was approached one time before, and we said no.
Was that through Jen?
It was through Nate.
Okay.
Which was...
Yeah, but we said no because the money wasn't there.
Well,
wasn't right.
It wasn't right, but on top of it, we also told Mikey no because we didn't know that that's like what he wanted, the direction that because that's not the direction he was talking to us about.
Yeah, right. You're not having that communication.
So there was a little bit of miscommunication. So that immediately, when we turned it down, that immediately sparked conversation on this side when we weren't around, that we're now interfering with his ability to make money. No, that's not true, because he was making money. He was just making money in the lane that he told us he wanted to be in.
Right.
And essentially why we turned our whole entire life upside down, and had spent all these years away from our family, and we've been on this journey. So we were just trying to stay in this lane. So then we would have more conversations, and so he signed his deal. When he signed his deal, the first thing I did was reach out to a business manager. The first thing I did. Mikey was getting older, though. There was decisions that were being made. Mikey was becoming a little more, on this side, on the Jen side, and he was being fueled by, conversations that were being had over here. Jenna has made the comment several times. I don't want anybody to touch my money. I don't want anyone
my
to be in control of my money. And those weren't our beliefs. But when you're a sponge when you're a kid, so you're absorbing everything that adults are saying.
Was she receiving money on Mikey's behalf?
Eventually, it became that way. Yes.
Because I would notice, like, she told me that she was going to turn Mikey's phone off, and I was like, why do you have Mikey's phone at all? Why are you in charge of that? Mikey, I know he makes his money. Like, why would you have that? My only thought is that you have control over them if you have an influencer's phone, and you can control their career, their life,
Well, I'll
where
tell
they're
you why.
going.
So I have the phone records. We just 3 weeks ago took Mikey's second phone off of our account. So we have been paying for that phone this entire time. He's had that phone his entire life. It went from a Firefly phone to whatever. We've had the same account, been paying for it. A year ago, we ended up getting him that phone. So we have been paying for a whole year both of the phones. And he's like, no, I don't ever want that number back.
But then I also had a phone with Jen.
So Jen got Mikey a phone under her account, and I'll tell you why.
How did was that given to you, like, as a Christmas gift? How was that presented to you? Because to me, that feels very sneaky.
It was.
It was when we got the house, the Florida house, right before we pulled up, like, the day we got the keys for it. She was like, we need to get you a phone.
Obviously, because we got to get you a Florida number.
So you have a phone at this point, and
Yeah.
she says you need a Florida number.
I mean, here's the thing, but really what it is, because I now know Jen's MO. I know her tactics. It was so she could have Life 360 and she can follow, and she had access to who he was calling, who he was texting, all of the above, because I received a phone call when we weren't really talking very much from Mikey and Danielle at one point. And I was picking up a client from the airport, and he was so upset. And he said, give me Dustin's number right now. Dustin is her dad. And Danny was upset, and
she was crying.
It was like getting this horrible phone call, driving in the airport, got clients in the car, and here's my son now like freaking out. I needed to call Dustin. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, we're driving to Dustin's right now. I'm sick of this, that, and everything else. Well, guess what? I hadn't talked to Mikey in forever at this point. All of a sudden, I give him the information.
This is like 3 weeks before the yacht situation.
Okay.
Thing.
So I'm like, okay, I give him Dustin's number, whatever. Of course, Dustin's wife and I are communicating, like, hey, just heads up, this just happened. They're probably reaching out. Don't know what's going on, in a weird situation right now. Going to follow up as soon as I finish up. And
well, basically what happened was Danny got her ass beat by her mom, and I stepped in and pushed Jen because what I was witnessing was abuse.
I had to stop Jen before too. I mean, with Carlos, she would take Danny's phone and like threaten to throw it and break it and all these things if Danny didn't post or didn't do X, and it's the most crazy.
But they never ended up getting to Dustin's house. So tell me something. How did Jen know that now all of a sudden Mikey was reaching out to me? Because it come to find out later on, they end up going back to Jen's, and she gives them whatever to make them happy.
I had Puffs, Wawa, just like waiting there.
Basically shoveling it all underneath the rug because she could have the phone records. She knew that Mikey called me. Then she knew that Mikey called Dustin. So she's going to activate now and make everything okay, because if they reach Dustin, then now he has his daughter.
I was literally telling Danny, and Danny was like agreeing with me, that she wanted to live with her dad, and that I thought it was best for her to move in with her dad, and we could figure out whatever we had going on later on in life. And
so she wrapped up this phone and presented it like it was a gift to you, but in reality,
it was just a tracker.
And a tool for manipulation.
Correct.
And control.
So she knew at that point, because she knew that Mikey was never going to, even though he probably said, I'm never going to talk to my parents or whatever. She put that division there, but she knew better than that. So by having the phone and having control, but in the meantime, he had his other phone. So he could have called us from that, but she was able to track things.
Well, no, my other phone I ended up finding it one day just like broken. And I was like, what the fuck?
Your old phone.
Yeah, like it wouldn't turn on at
I mean,
all.
but we've been
Conveniently.
but but again, I have the records. We paid for everything. We paid for our children. Here's the deal. I have never not worked a day in my life. When I came out here, I didn't work, but I've never been a
Working
stay-at-home mom.
You were working their careers.
But I was working their careers, and I have a husband.
Right.
And I had a family. And it wasn't like we were destitute and Danny just came up. We were fine.
Yeah.
We were doing just fine.
Yeah.
But money and shiny things.
I'll tell you right now, I like, this is kind of shitty to say, but I know that if I had never met Danny, never dated Danny, where I would be today compared to where I am today are two different levels.
How so?
I think that I'd be a lot more successful. Definitely.
Do you regret moving to LA?
Never. No, not at all.
Okay.
I regret. Yeah, I wouldn't say I regret moving to LA. No,
do you regret your relationship with Danielle? If you could go back in time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I feel like it was. Sorry. Like I said, I'm maturing. I feel like it was wrong, for sure, going back, after knowing her age, and
I'm sure there was a lot of good memories as well.
no, yeah, definitely, but
At what cost? And as upsetting as it is to like say, Danny is not the only person that this is happening to in this industry. I think there are kids that are being exploited and are victims of parental oversight, if you want to call it that. Your son has been, in my opinion, Jen could not give you enough back to make up for what she's taken from your family, and I think that is disgusting when you think about how many other people this could be happening to. I think you're brave for talking about it and using your voice to speak out on it. Katie, I know you're in the industry and you've also seen it happen to Mikey. Tell me a bit about what else you've seen, and outside looking in, how do we stop this? Because it's disgusting. I mean, I don't regret getting to know Danielle the way I did. I think it has inspired me to want to create
I feel like it
change.
was definitely a lesson learned from you. That's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna say.
I mean, it has to be, right?
Well, I learned a lot. Here's the thing. Do I regret anything? Well, do I wish we could have maybe made different choices? Well, sure. But we learned so much. And at the end of the day, our family just endured 3 years of absolute hell. And if that's what we had to do to get back to where we're at today, then that was what was meant for our journey. But speaking on other situations in this industry, I think the biggest downfall to Mikey and Danielle's relationship is that they don't realize how many people they influenced along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not Mikey or Danielle's fault, because it was the adults, including myself, around the situation that essentially made it okay. But while we were living this journey, there was a million trillion eyes watching.
100%.
And there were other parents that were learning from these bad decisions.
And I wouldn't even say just parents, industry executives as well.
Absolutely. Everybody should be held accountable. Here's the deal. I had several conversations the first time around when things happened with Mikey. Several people in the industry, called and, oh, Katie, no, I didn't know anything. Oh, Katie, no, I didn't know anything. And I'm very straightforward, and I would say, I better not find out that you knew anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm not afraid of this industry. I'm not afraid of, no one should ever be afraid of doing the right thing.
No.
And believe me, even just being in this room right now and having this conversation, there were several conversations outside of this conversation where people have an opinion.
Absolutely.
In the last 3 years. Katie, don't say anything. Don't speak out. It can ruin your career. It can ruin Mikey's career. It can ruin your family's career. It could trickle down to JoJo. It could make this happened and that happened. And you know what? Who are you to tell me that we can't share our side of the story or our journey?
Goddamn, we're getting death threats for having this conversation.
Well, exactly. And who are you to who is anyone to tell anyone that they can't share their story? But it was okay for Jen and Danielle to say everything that they've wanted to say. It's been okay for other people to air out
and control the narrative at that, because you don't even have a fucking phone.
Absolutely. And, people that work in the social media space, I'm here to tell you that in this city, I would like for people to do the right thing. I would like people not to get so caught up in money and fancy things. Sure, it's always nice to work hard and achieve these things and to, reward yourself at the end of your hard work. I'm all for it. I'm the first one to cheer someone on when they, get the leading role, put out the newest single, blow up on social media. The Tuas are amazing cheerleaders for people. We're not jealous people. We actually know that there's a time for everybody to shine. And in that moment, if it's your child's time, it's your child's time or your own. But don't try to scare people or make them feel like they can't do what's right. It's not okay to me.
How much money? This is always a question, right? Like,
Yeah.
Why are we having this conversation? How much money is it? Is it really worth this? Like, what is Danielle made, and what do you think Jen has control over? Can you put a number on that?
Okay, well, I can
tell you
say
right
not
now.
just off of what Mikey made off of one endorsement, but when Mikey consecutively for 2 years made $100,000 a month. And that was where Mikey was in his career.
Right.
So,
Which is how many followers?
well,
At the time, I had like 1 mil on Instagram and then 2 mil on TikTok.
yeah, like,
And Danny had what? 15 times
She
that?
was like 4 mil, and then
5 mil
on
or something like
TikTok or on Instagram, and then like 20 mil on TikTok.
And
something
she's
like
at
that.
30 now.
Really? Damn.
like, I'm just, and so, calculate that. Try to figure it out.
I want to know.
I mean,
I can tell you that in 2019, the year that I asked her out, she made like I think 1.8 million that year.
1.8. We're talking tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars over the career
Yeah.
that's at stake here.
but there's
I mean,
nothing to show for it, Michael.
No, where is it?
Right. There's no home spot.
I
There's
no
they did,
assets.
They did just buy a home in Florida, apparently.
I don't know if it was
I don't-
purchased, and if it is, it's definitely not under Danny's name.
Well,
And I do see people saying, "How are you going from a house in Calabasas, like a mansion in Calabasas, to a mid-class house in
Suburban.
because
Florida?" And
it's all an illusion. Everything out here is an illusion.
Absolutely. And it's disgusting that, like, one thing that bothers me is people like Tiffany Magnus, who's sending me DMs.
It's not Tiffany Magnus.
What's Teresa?
Teresa Magnus.
Thank you. People like Teresa Magnus or other mothers who have children in this space, and I don't know anything about that situation or them. It scares me that they could be able to see Jen, who I have witnessed, stealing their child's money, abusing them, exploiting them, and then learn from that, because that is scary.
Well, here's the
Yeah,
thing. I think
I
that
mean,
they're all learning from
yeah,
her. She paved the pathway.
I think they're
for,
learning from her, if anything.
I feel like that's why I
their
said.
tactics ready, and
And it's always been here, right? Like in Hollywood, that's always been a thing. Parents exploiting their children, putting them in TV. You hear all the stories.
Well, and listen, let me tell you something, Michael. There is this one thing I do want to touch on. Do I believe that typically in what was old Hollywood, one parent would come out from whatever state, right? And they would bring their child or children out for what you would, let's say, pilot season, right? If they were an actor. And they would come out here, and then there'd be another parent back home, right? Because this is the lifestyle we lived. And there's one parent back home, and now all of a sudden they're having to work to support both lifestyles, right? And the mom or the dad, whichever one was out here with the kids, they had to, because you have to be on set legal. Like if we're following rules, you have to legally be on set with your child and you have to be within sight and sound. Well, if they're working 5 days a week, you're not necessarily working.
And minors are supposed to be paid to a trust account, right?
Absolutely, a certain percentage.
Right.
And so I'm not opposed to there being, balance. I believe there's balance in everything.
Absolutely.
So you have to spend 5 days a week, on set with your child. You're driving them around to their auditions. There's all these additional expenses.
Sure.
Now you're living on one income.
Absolutely.
I believe in balance. So do I believe that once the child starts making money, you still have to be there? It doesn't mean that you're free. Now they're booked on a TV show. You just get to go.
Yeah.
No, you still have to be there to drive them, to take them, to help, to, sit there on set with them. So do I believe that there should be a certain portion of the money allotted for like additional training for the child's needs where they could help out, especially if it's really a struggle on the family?
Even expenses that are incurred. I mean, as a manager, I have to do a lot of those same roles. And,
Yes.
I receive a commission. I don't think that's out of the question here. But I think when we're talking about...
And so I believe that I believe that parents could take essentially a percentage.
Absolutely. Not opposed to that at all.
And I think
But
that
all
that's
of it?
fair. But I believe that
No.
what happened is social media came into play and there's no regulations around social media.
None.
You don't have to put it in a trust. It's literally a free-for-all.
It's ungoverned.
Absolutely. So you're just like, it's free-for-all. It's like,
It's the Wild West.
yeah, they're like, oh, and the PayPal money's getting sent. They're not even sending it through a check or a bank. So it's caused people to be able to really manipulate the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that Mikey and Danielle, again, not their fault, but I think that they definitely paved the way for all these other kids and young people in the industry to figure out how to make money quickly. I'm here to tell you I work in the social media space. Right now, if you're shipped, and a ship is when a young, two people are shipped together. They usually have a ship name.
Yep.
And, they have their YouTube channels and everybody wants to see more into their, relationship. And they're living through that. And so they've all learned how to make a good living off of YouTube by doing this. And I think that we just have to put things in place where, SAG requires certain rules. We need to figure out a way to require certain rules, especially when working with minors, that we can somehow...
I believe we need like a union almost.
Absolutely. But it's going to be tough because remember,
Absolutely.
YouTube is done in your home. When you're filming a TV show, you're on a set.
Yep.
So how do we regulate that?
We have to hold, in my opinion, platforms accountable. That's
Absolutely.
where it starts, and that's where it ends.
Absolutely.
We're letting people... TikTok, in my opinion, is a disgusting platform who has no regulation beyond any of the others and will just delete people's accounts like crazy, and that's people's careers. And then you have parents seeing that same opportunity to make opportunities for new accounts and using their children. I mean, I've seen little babies have millions of followers. I'm like, that kid is going to grow up and not have no idea what's going on. And, it's like indoctrinating this entire new generation, and that's scary.
It is scary. And you're letting people in. People don't realize because it's all fun in the beginning, right? Of course, I had my red flags that went up, but it's all fun in the beginning. But we're always thinking a lot of steps ahead of the game. And at some point, you're going to not be together. You're allowing the public into your personal life, and with Danielle, everything.
Look at Danny, yeah.
Everything was, let's get a camera out.
Her kids are going to see all of this one day.
Absolutely. And their whole entire relationship, everything, it was for everybody to have an opinion about. It was for everyone to know everything. Very little was kept private or...
It's crazy though, because now, like, even though I still do social media, like, a lot of stuff that I do is, like, very private.
I was going to ask
the people
you...
I'm with, the people, like, I keep everything private.
Do you feel that if you could go back in time, would you not do the social media and have stuck with just dance, per se?
Or
even acting, but less public?
Yeah, I definitely think that I would have gone more into the acting for sure. Yeah, I would say that.
Some of those decisions, I think, where you sacrificed going to an audition or whatever to do with Danny. Is that hard to look back on?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I feel like like it happened, so it's just like
You have to learn from it.
yeah.
What does the future look like for you?
Let's see. I really enjoy modeling. I went to my friend Landon's runway show, and it was pretty cool, and I've always been interested in fashion, and definitely feel like my brother's got his music stuff going on.
I love 90210, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank
super
you. We
sick.
love 90210.
It's so catchy.
Maybe some music every once in a while. I definitely like getting in the
How are you
studio.
feeling? Do you feel lighter? I feel like when I escaped is such a strong word, but when I feel like I
Me
escaped,
too.
I felt like I could breathe again. I called Cohn, I was like,
No, yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like just happy. I feel like I've been a lot happier since I left. And which is I hate saying it like that cuz it makes me look like an asshole, but
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't feel like people really understand the extent of everything, and not everyone saw the behind the scenes, and I can sit here and talk to a camera or talk to you and tell a story, but I feel like it's different when you're actually in this situation.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was literally trying to film a Netflix doc and had to stop because of how dark it was.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. Think about how we feel. Danielle has lived that her whole life.
I feel like she's numb to it though.
Yeah, I do. I think she's desensitized.
I had chills saying that.
No.
It is terrifying that she does not know what real love is, in my opinion, outside of seeing it from YouTube probably. And
Well, yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like I definitely did a good job.
no,
showing her.
100%. I can tell she knows what love is because of you, and if you would not have met her.
The one thing I always used to say even when
So sorry.
even when I was watching from afar, they would do videos, and the one thing that I gotta say that did make me happy about this, watching your son fall in love for the first time, was that he's a really loving kid. He showed her the same kind of love that he watched his dad show me.
That starts with the parents. That's where it starts.
Absolutely. But it was really special because it's that sense of, wow, we raised some really nice boys. Because in today's world, there's a lot of other things going on, but he was always really attentive to her. He loved her. My boys treat me really well. And it was so good and so awesome to see him be so gentle and loving and caring and sweet with her.
I really did care about her for sure.
And it was real. And I knew that part. And that's why I think I made such an effort to continue to try to make the situation better. Try, no matter how many times I butted heads with Jen, okay, we'll go out. All right, we'll stay and we'll go out to dinner. I didn't want to. I would do it, and I would try, and I would try with Danielle, and I had really great times together. And
Yeah.
again, when Jen was
Danielle's sweet.
out of the equation, it was a fun day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have great memories with Danny. Mine getting trapped in the ocean on a jet ski, but
No, literally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
The reason that this all got hot and heavy was because Jen had asked me to claim all her music videos so that Danny could get paid. She said she's never been paid for Marilyn Monroe.
Oh my God, here we go again.
So
I've already worked that out for her, by the way. Okay.
I submit all these claims for her, right? Just like any label, I'm sure you do
Right,
the same
yeah.
thing. All this money still sitting in an account for her because I did claim them. And then here comes an email from Michelle Paramore that she owns all these videos and that I'm stealing Danny's money. I said, it doesn't even go to me. It literally is in a trust account for Danny, as it should be.
Right.
Still sitting there, untouched. And I don't know. They just want to do these like, what's the point? Why would you ask me to claim that and then tell Michelle Paramore to
Because that's what she does. She plays victim to everything she does because she's been doing that forever. And she's like, I never made any money. No,
She
crazy
tried to
woman,
use it.
You've gotten money from all over. It's just you don't know what you're signing. Here's the thing: if I were to call her right now, hate her to death, but I'd be like, oh, I've got $100,000 deal for you. I don't even have to explain myself. Do you know that? Don't have to explain myself. Most parents are going to ask questions. They're going to want to review as much as you can. I'm not an attorney, so I'm going to say, you should have your attorney look it over.
Yep.
Right? These are the things that you do. Nope, she's already signed it. And she's like, where's my PayPal?
Yes, no, literally.
Fuck, okay.
And, that's the crazy thing, because during this process, I saw that Danny made me the owner of the channel so that I could claim them or whatever, and it's Jen's account.
No.
It's literally her email address. It's her account.
That is how she's going to protect it. She has made it so clear so many times. See, I catch on to everything. Here's the thing. People think that I'm busy. I am running around a lot with my head cut off like a chicken. That's where everybody's wrong.
Yeah.
I pay attention a lot more than people think, and I read people's body
It's also
language.
part of being a mother, yeah.
Right? But I read, like, I can tell. I can tell when you ask someone questions, if they get nervous. I did the whole thing with Jen. I did the whole thing with Jen constantly, where I was like, I'd ask questions, I would see that there was clearly something more there that I didn't know. All the time. I feel like I did the best that I could in that situation.
Let's back up a little.
Sure.
We were not rolling, but you said something that I think you should say again about how Mikey was viewed to Jen.
Mikey, from the moment that Danny and Mikey started dating, he was a dollar sign to her because no one had ever grown as quickly and as massively as Mikey had, like
Being
the
associated-
boyfriend.
Yeah, being the boyfriend.
He grew like hundreds of thousands of followers in 1 week. And so this was before we had the Charlies and the Addisons. This was before all of the influencers we have today were around and blowing up, and clearly the ones that are in the top of that lane right now.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, but Mikey and Danny, it was just anything she could do to profit off of them.
How did that, I'm sure you recognized it in that moment. Did you?
Yeah,
How did that make you feel?
that's why I was like earlier, like when she would get a brand deal and she would like want me to be in it, I would be like, well, it's gonna be twice as much, because if you want me in it, like you're gonna, like, I know my worth.
Do you think, like, I don't think Danny did, maybe, but I think Jen 100% looked at you as a dollar sign. I think Danny probably just wanted her boyfriend in a music video with her.
Danny loved
definitely.
Mikey.
Yeah, I don't
He
doubt
was
that.
Genuine.
Me either.
I
don't
will
doubt
never
it for a
doubt the
second.
fact that they didn't love each other. They very much so
100%.
loved each other, and Danny was good to Mikey, and Mikey was good to Danny. Without all the ruckus around them and a different
But I do have a
time.
question. Do you think that Danny would have done what I did to her family?
Never,
Never.
Why do you say that?
because she has been groomed to never leave her family.
You think she's incapable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's more of her being incapable. She just can't, even if she wanted to.
I mean,
Because I've heard her say multiple times that she wants to.
when I have, like, Danny and I would get into very emotional, I cried in front of Jen. I was like, this is not okay. Like, go get help. And bawling. And Danny is screaming at Jen, Mom, you won't even let me recover from my abortion. And, like, very heated. And Jen is just shutting down. And I don't understand how she can gaslight her daughter so much. I would get Danny alone, and she would tell me that this is not what she wants. She would literally be like, I want you to take my emails. I want you to give me the email login. Then I go into the room with Danny to get the login. Jen will not give it to me. Will not. And everything, she's the victim. Why are you doing this to me? You like Michael more than me. That's your goddamn mother. How could you love me more than your mother?
It's not that.
And Danny then starts crying, and I'm like, your daughter can't even heal. You're not letting her heal because you want to control everything about her money. Be a mom. Go be a mom. Stop being whatever you think you are and whatever you're doing. And I know she doesn't, like, she'll then switch. Even at my house in Nashville, we had a conversation where she's like, "Can you help me?" She pulled me aside, and that's when she told me her real age, and I was like, "Oh shit!" That's the moment I was like, "All right, shit changed," and I would not let Jen come into my house. I would not. I said, "I'm not going to go speak to your mother. She can call my attorney if she wants to speak. Like, I'm done." And then Danny goes back outside, goes to my guest house to talk to her mom, comes back and's like, "Well, I'm going to leave Nashville." And I'm like, "Is that what you want? We just had a whole different conversation." She's like, "No, I want to support my mom. I think that she needs, I should be able to provide for my family." And I'm like, your mom just literally convinced you that you're supporting your family and that that's the right thing to do. And your heart's so big that you think that that's the right thing to do, but it's in reality, your mom is manipulating you. That is what breaks my heart.
Here's the thing. If they were putting away some money to, I mean, how about some investments? How about pay something in cash? How about an investment in a washer and a dryer?
Oh my God.
Instead of
Pots
having
and pans.
the repo guy from Rent-A-Center is out in their front door because she didn't pay for the couch and the washer and dryer. And she's like, the dog is pooped and peed and whatever on the couch. They can just repo it. They're like, we don't want to. Can you just pay us?
Right. Which is a low income mindset. You think that that's cheaper in the moment, but it's not in the end. And that she's destroying Danny's future. I don't know if maybe Jen, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she's not intelligent enough to understand that, which I hope is the case. I would be curious your input.
I think that Jen's a lot smarter than anybody gives her credit for.
So you think it's malicious and she's aware?
Absolutely, 100%.
What do you think, Mikey?
Um,
You witnessed it firsthand.
I definitely think that she is aware of what she's doing, for sure.
She's very good at manipulating. And listen, I don't know them today, right? It's been a long time. I don't know Jen today.
My
But
mom hasn't spoke to Jen in 2 years.
I have not spoken
Really?
to her in 2 years. When I found out
Not a
that
single
little
time,
girl's
not a
age,
single word.
when I found out that little girl's age, it stopped right then and there for me.
Same. And shame on anyone else who is not.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
could say several names, but
I mean, and
Including
listen,
me.
and I was very vocal. I love my son, and I will always be there for him. But we did not support him going back. But I do understand, throughout counseling and other things, Mikey, he was a victim too. He fell in love
I think
for his
that's what
first
people
time.
don't understand. Like,
Is that you were a victim too?
oh,
yeah, I feel like people are like blind to that.
No, because I
they're not. I see it, right? I recognize that.
and
that,
I recognize it too. He was. I'm not just making excuses for my son. If he's making poor choices, he's making poor choices. When he went back to her, was it a poor choice?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But what I think the missing link here is that he was in love for the very first time, and then he also took on this role of like he needed to be the man and protect her, and so the crazy stuff that was going on that not everybody always gets to see, him being there and just being able to help her. And he knew what was going on when she was going through a hard time, and he wanted to be there for her. He didn't care about the situation that she was in.
Mm-hmm.
He never judged her. He never said anything negative about it. He actually came to his dad and I and told us.
that's love, right? It's selfless.
But my God, at that age, I'm just here to say that at that age, if I had somebody that I was madly, deeply in love with, and, there was a huge lie and it forced us to be apart, and then I was with another boy and had found myself in the same situation where, that boy had, been with somebody else and was going to have a lifelong commitment to them, I would have been mad. I would have been hurt. I don't know if I would have been that loving at that age. I don't know if I would have been responsible or
Forgiving.
mature enough to be in that place.
I don't think I would have been either.
Mikey immediately just wanted to love her and said, whatever you choose.
Yeah, I actually.
It's up to you.
I actually remember the time she told me about the abortion. This was after I had ran away for the second time, and we were laying together. She was like, "Can I tell you something?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Like, what?" And she's like laying on my stomach. She's like, "Can you promise me you're not gonna get mad?" And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I promise. She was like, she like starts crying, like doesn't say anything, just starts crying. I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, sorry, it's funny because it's replaying in my head. She starts crying, and she looks at me and she was like, I had an abortion with Ethan's kid. And I was like, I sat there like, my jaw literally dropped and my face was bright red, and my friend Juju was over, and this was at the Calabasas house, and I didn't say anything to her. I walked out of the room and I went downstairs into the backyard, and you know there's the couch out there, and I went and I sat there, and it's like midnight, and I talked to Juju, and I'm like, he's like, you good? And I start crying, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be fine. And he's like, well, what's going on? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. And then I ended up going back upstairs to her and just hugged her, and she cried to me, and like she was like screaming at the top of her lungs, like just letting it all out. Like I was just like let it out. Like
How old was she at that time?
13,
That is
14,
insane.
13, 14, something like that.
And you were there for her in a moment in which is hard for anyone in a relationship to be in. I mean, I can't imagine. More so than her mother. Danny sleeps with, I mean, I've seen it. She has brought
With
me
it next to her bed.
in a pineapple little,
That for me,
yes.
yeah.
And to this day, and she'll be like, Michael, I sleep with this every night, and I don't think about it a single day. And I, like, when she started telling me that, I was...
Did she?
There's a little girl that needs counseling.
I said,
I'm not judging
did you
her.
Hear
She needs.
what happened, like, during, like, the abortion, like, when she was, like, going through it? Did she ever talk to you about that? And
About
what her mom was doing and stuff?
that her mom was telling her she was going to hell and all this stuff, right?
Not only that, but she, again, what do you say?
Viewer discretion.
Yeah, viewer discretion, sensitive content.
But, yeah, this is, like, super sensitive for sure. And, you know, I don't know how she's going to feel about me saying this, but when the baby, like, came out and it was in the toilet.
She did tell me that.
Her mom, like, took a picture of it and sent it to Michelle Paramore and Virginia. And, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I did know. Danny, that day that she asked me to take the emails over got very real, and I said, Jen, your daughter hasn't healed.
But I am going to say this. It was very much so Danny's choice to have that abortion. Jen did want her to keep that.
I mean,
for sure.
it should be Danny's choice,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I suppose.
Definitely.
Everyone their own opinion on it, but I think that she should not have been... It is my belief that Jen is sex trafficking her daughter. Not in a way that most people would think is sex trafficking, but by definition...
It is.
It is sex trafficking.
No, I agree.
I've watched her coerce Mason into sleeping in that room, and I've watched Danny be like, Michael, what do I do? I feel nervous. And I'm like, you don't need to do anything, Danny. Go to bed.
Sleep.
Literally.
Like, you're a child, girl. And she's like, well, I need to make him mine. It'll do well. And I'm like, no. God, no.
What the
And
fuck?
it's so sad that Jen has not shown her that role model, that relationship.
Well, you know, it's to my understanding, what male has been in Jen's life for Danielle to have a role model where there's like a mom and a dad or a healthy relationship inside the home.
Oh, what has Jen done to...
Like what I'm trying to say is, I apologize. Let me go back. What healthy relationship has been in Danielle's home as she has grown up?
Right.
I don't know.
She doesn't have a relationship.
There's definitely no help. I mean, me and Mason were very close, which is why all of this shocked me to a certain extent. And he would we got on the phone with Danny, and you know, we talked about a lot of things, and Mason was like, I don't think she knows what love is, because she's like, I need you here now, I need you to do this right now, like, you need to come. And I was like, you is not a word that's in love, like, you know, it's very selfless. It was all what Danny needed, and that's because Jen has only ever told her what Jen wants, so that's what she thinks love is, and that's tragic. And I think, like, because of that, Jen thinks that whoever hurt Jen,
Right.
pass that on to Danny.
Absolutely. And Jen, I think, needs to heal herself.
100%.
And I think that if she could do some healing, and then maybe Danny can, I mean, I'd like to hope that there is hope there. But who knows? I just know that at the end of the day, my son will never be the same. Mikey's good. And he's surrounded by loving, amazing, you know, family members that are there for him, good friends. And, you know, the one good thing about this situation is that we definitely weeded out the people that didn't need to be there. Because
100%.
In this industry, one slight bit of drama, of turmoil, of scandal, controversy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They're your best friends, and all of a sudden it's like crickets.
Yep.
You're like, oh,
Yep.
I thought you were my friend. Now, okay, whoa, that's how we're gonna play. Okay. So
How do you feel? I mean, Mikey, looking at Mikey now, he seems fine, happy, healthy. How do you feel? Have you moved past it?
I think that our whole family is in a much better spot. I'm in a much better spot. But will we ever be the same?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think we'll ever be the same. I don't think that. So I have a really hard time trusting anyone or anything out, especially out in LA, because I associate all this with LA.
You're right.
And so when asking a parent for information, or, you know, I feel like I can trust my own child's word better than I can trust like another adult. And I'm not saying, and it shouldn't be that way, because there are great people out here as well, but it has definitely changed a lot. Mikey, I don't know if he'll ever be the same. He's definitely getting better, but for us, there's just a piece of him that I feel like he had to learn so early, that horrible heartbreak, and for your first love, for this to have to be the scenario, and so publicly. My gosh, my first love was not like this. It was not this public, and I thought my whole world was over, right? But I didn't have it with a million cameras in front of me and everybody in the world talking. And we're out in LA, and you know what? It goes both ways, right? Sometimes we walk into a room and people are whispering and whatever, and then, you know, they do the whole fakey fake thing where they're
I've been there. I am there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh, whatever. I'm like, you didn't even have to waste your breath to come over and say hi to me, because you're not affecting me. At the end of the day, what we've learned is to go back to our roots, to be out here, to stay focused on what we're doing. Mikey's 19. He doesn't have to figure out what he's doing today. He can still have a career irregardless of what anyone says, any agent, any manager, whatever. There are a million possibilities. If he wants to put out music, if he wants to be an actor, if he wants to be a dancer, if he wants to go on the business side of things, if he wants to. I think
he'd thrive in that.
I absolutely do. I think that he would thrive doing a million things, and we're here to support it. And there's no rush to the finish line for us. There never has been. There's never been a need for him to have to, or any of our children, to have to grow 200,000 followers in a week. We don't care about that.
Yeah. Are you still writing a book? I heard.
It comes out in September.
Okay.
I am, and it's called I Should Have Stayed in the Car.
I love the title.
I should have stayed in the car. And it really walks through this journey, and I'm really open about some really personal things that we had never talked about in this situation and still have not. And I think it's important for me to be honest about everything, because I think that people, when they'll look into our situation, they're going to find that we're just, you know, like everyone else, trying to make things work for their kids, and that we went through a lot and people just don't realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely like still a lot. Not a lot, but a few things that are major that I don't talk about.
Was there anything you want to say or add to this?
Nah.
It's okay if you don't. Well, I want to thank you both for being here, and I appreciate this conversation. I think both of you have a voice that is powerful enough to hopefully inspire change in others and in this industry, and hopefully one day make a change and stop these kids from being exploited. And I hope you both have had an opportunity to heal and find peace with it, and it seems like you have, so
For sure.
I appreciate you guys chatting with me today.
We
course.
appreciate you
Thanks for
having
having
us.
us.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.